And one of the projects I was developing at Paramount was a 70 millimeter, 60 frame per second high-speed process called ShowScan. And it was based on the discovery that by tremendously increasing the frame rate of photography and projection, that we could put a 70 millimeter movie on a very, very gigantic screen, and the movie became like a window onto reality. So the head of Paramount Pictures asked me to develop a movie idea, a story for a movie that would be the premiere of this new ShowScan process. And the idea was that parts of the movie would be conventional melodramatic stories, but the points of view when you go into the virtual space would be in the ShowScan process, and the screen would become giant and increase to the 60 frame per second, 70 millimeter ShowScan experience. So the sad part of the story was that Paramount Pictures management changed entirely. New management came in and terminated the project. And they instead wanted me to do the visual effects for Star Trek: The Motion Picture because that was their big problem at the time. And the deal we struck was to be able to make Star Trek: The Motion Picture in exchange for me being able to take back Brainstorm and the ShowScan process and find some other studio that would be more interested. So I was approached by David Beagleman, who had been at Columbia Pictures when we had the big success with Close Encounters, who was by then an executive at MGM, and asked me if I would make Brainstorm for MGM. But he said that no studio, including MGM, would be willing to make make Brainstorm in this ShowScan process because it was too expensive and would require the conversion of many theaters in order to show it properly. So I had to make Brainstorm in two formats. One is a 1/66 to 135 millimeter format, and the point of view shots are 70 millimeter widescreen. And so the movie changes aspect ratio and width, and it changes from mono sound to stereo sound. It was all I could do. So this is not a 70 millimeter print tonight. It's a 35 millimeter print, but I think it does change width during the movie. And it's been many, many years since this movie was made. So this print is okay, but not 70 millimeter.
Est-ce que vous pouvez nous décrire un peu les effets spéciaux de ce film, alors sans rentrer dans les détails forcément techniques, mais il y a quelques séquences mémorables, notamment les séquences qu'on appelle les bubble memory et les séquences de vie après la vie, et qui sont à nouveau, hein, comme toujours avec vous, des effets spéciaux de type organique.
The story is about a device that allows the recording of human experiences so that another person can play those experiences back. And one of the lead characters in the story, who's played by Louise Fletcher, dies in the laboratory of a heart attack and records her death. And the passion of the story is Christopher Walken is determined to play back this tape and see if there is any realm of reality beyond death. And I was working with a man named Stanislav Grof, G-R-O-F, who had been spending many years of research into out-of-body experiences and life after death experiences or near-death experiences. And he had many very interesting observations to give me about what that experience might be. And much of this research that was based upon his early research with LSD. And he was discovering that much of what people reported in a near-death experience or a psychedelic experience was some kind of rebirth experience. And so what I was trying to do with the visual effects on this movie was try to depict there were 4 phases of experience. The first phase is one of a very beautiful intensely lovely, happy experience for a short period of time. And then the second phase was the onset of some kind of disturbance or crisis that was depicted by an experience of a personal first-person experience of things becoming very frightening, very threatening, very life-threatening experiences of various kinds. And then the third phase was a super crisis of survival. And it included very grim and grisly, almost hell-like experiences that were based on drawings and illustrations that I got from Gustave Doré and other artists depicting hell. And that if you can survive this hell-like experience and get to the other side of it, you would have this rebirth experience of tremendous joy and achievement and happiness that would be the fourth phase of the experience. And so part of the visual task was to depict these things in a very hopefully understandable but very abstract way, to where it's as though the universe is broken up into thousands of particles of information that we called memory bubbles, that were memories throughout the movie, that are these spheres filled with energy and life and stories throughout the entire history of mankind and the universe.
Alors, si le tournage de Brainstorm avait tout à fait bien commencé avec Christopher Walken et Natalie Wood, très vite il y a eu plusieurs problèmes, notamment la MGM n'avait pas forcément le budget qu'elle vous avait promis au départ. Il y a eu ensuite bien sûr la mort de Natalie Wood, ce qui entraînait pas mal de conflits avec la MGM. Et c'est tous ces péripéties qui vous ont, on va dire, dégoûté du système hollywoodien et vous ont poussé à fonder votre propre studio. Alors, est-ce que vous pouvez nous dire quelques mots sur cet épisode et sur la création ensuite des studios Trumbull au Massachusetts?
Well, this was a very unusual movie, and the studio was looking at our dailies from the movie and did not understand this movie at all. And at the same time, MGM was undergoing a financial crisis of their own and were running out of money. And there was a concern that they didn't have adequate funds to finish production of the movie. And as you may know, near the end of live-action production over a long Thanksgiving weekend in the US, Natalie Wood died in a very mysterious accident. And literally minutes or hours after her tragic death, I was notified that the movie was terminated and was not going to be finished. And I was not allowed to go back to the cutting room. So it seemed unusual to me that in the circumstance of the death of a major character in a movie, that the first thing a studio would do would be to contact the director, who was me, and ask if I could finish the movie without Natalie Wood, to finish any more shots. And they did not ask that question. So I had to actually barricade myself in the cutting room for several days alone and cut the movie together to prove to the studio and to the insurance company that it was easy to finish this film, and that the remaining scenes of Natalie Wood were inconsequential and could be easily omitted. So this became a big turning point in my life because the studio did not want me to finish the movie. The insurance company refused to pay the studio, and I ended up working for the insurance company. And it was one of the most difficult periods of my life where I was the enemy of the studio and still trying to finish their movie for them. So I got the movie finished under extremely challenging circumstances that made me suffer from almost a kind of post-traumatic stress disorder. And by the time I got the movie finished, about a year later, the entire management of the studio had changed again. And they wanted to prove that the previous management had made a mistake anyway. and the movie was not properly released or promoted. And at that point, I decided to leave the movie industry entirely because I had already had 20 years of very bad experiences working for almost every major studio. And so even today, the Los Angeles Police Department has designated Natalie Wood's death as a mystery that they cannot solve. And I believe there's every reason to believe, given what I just told you, that there was motive for her death. Next.
Alors, ce qui est sûr, c'est que Brainstorm reste un film culte. Le public pourra le constater ce soir. Un film visionnaire, je le disais en introduction, puisqu'il aborde la réalité virtuelle alors que nous étions uniquement dans les années 80. Aujourd'hui, vous êtes toujours tourné vers le futur et vous proposez, vous en avez parlé ce matin durant votre masterclass, un nouveau dispositif, Magi, qu'on peut considérer un peu comme un héritier du Schwesken. Est-ce que vous pouvez nous en dire à nouveau quelques mots? Et aussi, si vous le voulez bien, nous dire quelques mots sur l'un de vos derniers projets qui ont, on va dire, une sorte de remake de Brainstorm.
I believed 35 years ago there's tremendous opportunity for the movie experience to be more immersive than it has been. And 2001, to me, was proof that that's possible. And today, I'm still on this lifelong determination to bring a new form of immersive spectacle entertainment to the movie industry. And so this digital movie process I've been developing, which I talked about this morning in my masterclass, is a truly amazing transformation of the movie experience because it goes way beyond what we could do with film, even for Brainstorm or even for 2001. And I'm very excited about the possibilities, and I presently have completed work on making the new Magi process work properly. That's done. I've built a new motion picture theater design, and that's done. And now I'm about to make a new film in the Magi process that I hope will go way beyond what I was attempting with Brainstorm. And so Brainstorm wasn't specifically about virtual reality. It was about the idea that there might be some technology that can record and play back human experiences. And today we now have virtual reality that's a reality that I believe people are expecting some kind of spectacular, immersive, alternate reality to occur in virtual reality. So that's what I'm working on right now.
Merci beaucoup Douglas, je vous laisse le mot de la fin avant la projection.
I wish this movie Brainstorm could have been made the way I had envisioned. I wish there hadn't been a tragedy that made me change my career. I'm proud of the fact that I actually got this movie finished against almost insurmountable difficulties. So I challenge you to use your imaginations tonight as you watch this movie, that every time you go to the point of view of a character and the screen gets wider, you have to imagine that it becomes fully three-dimensional alternate reality, because that's now possible. Use your imagination. Thank you.